some progress with respect to the township's submittal of a Mount Laurel settlement agreement, which you approved by resolution a couple of months ago. A fairness hearing has been set in December, and as a result of that, the Affordable Housing Council, along with the township planner, prepared 4 ordinances which create overlays that are consistent with the settlement plan that you previously approved. These ordinances were late to be prepared, but they are prepared and can be introduced by title tonight. And what I would recommend as legal counsel in conjunction with the Affordable Housing Council would be to potentially introduce the ordinance, but the public hearing and final adoption would be set for after the fairness hearing. So what this would allow is by final adoption after the fairness hearing, the Township Committee would then be following through on its obligations under the agreement that the court is then mandating by court order. And if the court does not accept the fairness hearing, if somehow the litigation gets protracted, you would then not be considering it for final adoption in that instance. So as you know, in New Jersey, to approve an ordinance, you need to introduce it. It then needs to be advertised in accordance with the law, then needs to have a public hearing, needs to be adopted, and then needs to be advertised again. So it's a multi-step process, and I note that if there's an introduction that takes place, that's not creating any new law, that's simply allowing it to move forward as part of an advertisement. So if there is a desire to move forward on that basis, I can read into the record these ordinances, and I certainly am glad to answer any questions you may have as well.
Based on the advice of counsel, both our co-attorney and our town attorney, I think we should move forward with this. And the final decision will be made after the judge's ruling in mid-December.
Okay, so what we'll do if that's the case is we are going to read each of these into the record by title, and then the clerk will handle the logistical end of things. And I would note that the public hearing on these items will be scheduled for December 20th. The Township Committee would have a special meeting on December 20th. That would be following the fairness hearing in Superior Court on December 18th. So the court, if it approves the settlement, will be ordering these modifications that are being introduced tonight, and the Township Committee can consider them on that night. The first ordinance is an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel, County of Monmouth, amending Section 30-135 of the Township Code by creating an overlay zone entitled Affordable Housing Multifamily AH-MF Zone for Block 52, Lots 17 and 18 to allow for affordable housing multifamily AH-MF. Individually, you'll need a motion and a second. And a roll.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Roll call.
Mr. Nikolis? Yes. Mr. Impreveduto?
Yes.
Mayor Buontempo?
Yes.
Okay. Maureen, now I know how much you got to read these things off. The second one is an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel, County of Monmouth, amending Section 30-135 of the Township Code by creating an overlay zone entitled Affordable Housing Greenhouse AH-GH for Block 35, Lots 14.01 and 15 to allow for mixed-use residential market rate and affordable housing units.
I'll make a motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Nikolis? Yes. Mr. Impreveduto?
Yes.
Mayor Buontempo?
Yes.
Our third ordinance is an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel, County of Monmouth, amending Section 30-135 of the Township Code by creating an overlay zone entitled AH-MR Affordable Housing Middle Road Zone for Block 57, Lot 2.
Motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Nikolis? Yes. Mr. Impreveduto?
Yes.
Mayor Buontempo?
Yes.
And the final one for introduction, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel, County of Monmouth, amending Section 30-135 of the Township Code by creating an overlay zone entitled Affordable Housing Greenhouse AH-GH for Block 35, Lots 14.01 and 15 to allow for mixed-use residential market rate and affordable housing units.
Roll call.
I'll move it.
Roll call.
Mr. Nikolis? Yes. Mr. Impreveduto?
Yes.
Mayor Buontempo?
Yes.
bear with me one second.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have two of the same one. All right. Can we track down which one was repeated, Maureen, in the printed out?
Lot 35, AHGH.
Okay, so which one are we missing?
I printed them, we go get them.
Well, here it is.
You got it?
52, lot 17.
52,
No, we approved that one.
52, 17, and 18, 35, 14, and 15, Middle Road. Yeah, it's the,
Okay, are we good?
no, we have two the same. We only have three.
Just bear with us, folks. What I'm going to recommend is if you proceed with the meeting and the professional reports, and I can work it out with the administrator,
Perfect.
confirm that.
So next on the agenda is approval of minutes held on October 10, 2017.
Move that.
A roll call.
Nikolis? Impreveduto?
Yes.
Mayor Buontempo?
Yes. I'll go over our professional reports right now. Anything from our illustrious engineering team?
Yes, there are two items we would ask. One is the modified 2017 road improvement program. We're asking for your direction and authorization to proceed with putting those final bid documents together. We need your authorization to go forward so that we can put those out to bid, advertise in the weeks ahead, and award contracts, construction contracts, hopefully in December and January. That work will start in the early spring.
I'll make a motion to have the program professional.
Roll call.
Mr. Nikolis?
Yes.
Mr. Impreveduto?
Yes.
Mayor Buontempo?
Yes.
The only other thing I do want to mention is that the recreation needs assessment is still proceeding. We have received the report from our sub-consultant, and unless you direct me otherwise, I will go ahead and schedule the next meeting with the ad hoc committee in the days ahead, based on their first availability. And we'll have the next and final meeting with that group, also a meeting with the rec advisory committee, and then come back to you at your committee meeting in December with our final report after getting more input from those groups.
Okay, so you plan on meeting with the ad hoc committee and the recreation committee prior to our December 12th meeting?
That's correct, yes.
And then you'll be here on December 12th presenting it to the township committee in a public forum?
That would be our expectation, yes.
Okay, good. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Administrator, any updates? Excuse me, Bonnie, anything else from you? Sorry, any other? Okay. Administrator, anything?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Any updates, Mike, on your?
Great update is that everything was introduced correctly. Those are the 4 overlays that are required if the court approves the settlement agreement, so we're in good shape on that.
Okay.
If you also want some knock on wood news, JCP&L, I'd like to give an update on occasion. Right now, that case is currently pending before the administrative law judge. Arguments have already been made, briefs have been filed, so we're eagerly awaiting that decision. And then that will be submitted to the BPU. Our fingers are crossed for a favorable outcome on that one, and kind of reading the tea leaves, we're thinking that that could be in the cards. But beyond that, I don't want to speculate, but I think we've been fighting the fight and getting close to the finish line, hopefully.
Good. Good. Anything else, Mike?
No, that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, Perry, do you have any updates?
No, Mayor, I'm assuming we didn't have a meeting since our library Soft opening?
Yeah, November.
With it, that is track.
November 1st, yeah.
So I want to congratulate you on a great job with that soft opening. Hopefully, if you have an update for us, and when it's going to open, go for it.
Oh, Mike, you have anything? So, at the building Friday and the update today is all the custom electrical fixtures arrived over the weekend, so they're being installed today. Our carpet's being delivered on Thursday. It's going to be installed Friday and Saturday. And then the furniture is going to be, which is sitting in the warehouse waiting for the carpet to go in, is going to be delivered starting over the weekend until early next week. So over the next week, everything should be pretty well wrapped up with the library ready for our final inspections and then be open to the public. So hopefully before our next meeting, we will, maybe we'll have a meeting there sometime in the future. Well,
You know what, that might be our next meeting. Might be
it
next.
could be great, yeah. So that's all. Anything else, Mike, from you?
No, that's all, Mayor.
Cool. I'll open up to public comment. Anybody's welcome to come up. I think we'll move the microphone, Donna, over to the center. State your name, address, and any comments.
No, Scott, so raise it.
Making it more difficult for the short people. Good evening, Scott Goldstein, 24 East Lawn Drive, Holmdel. Can we get an update on the New Jersey gas regulator situation?
The only update I have for you is that the Office of Administrative Law Judge entered an order of inactivity in the case through, I believe, up to February of next year. New Jersey Natural Gas hasn't done anything other than allow for the order of inactivity to be entered. That's the update I can share for you.
Mm-hmm. And then the second question I have is, if I can be indulged, is how is the town going to handle the cost and the logistics of moving the library, since I understand it takes about 2 weeks to do that? Physically moving the books.
There's a moving company that specializes in library moves, and I don't know where you got 2 weeks from. I believe it's done in a day.
Okay. And the cost of that is running what?
I don't have it in front of me. If you email the administrator, I'm sure we can share it with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Miss? Welcome. Hello.
I think some of you know me already, but I'm Nancy Cagliostro. I live at 214 Pebble Beach Court in Bow Ridge. I'm here on behalf of 250 homes, which represents at least 500 voting constituents, okay? Which also represents $3.25 million of tax revenues into the township coffer. Those people who vote, those people who contribute that tax revenue, want to know why the zoning board of this town approved a variance for an atrocity that is being planned
I asked
next
the same
door.
question, by the way.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off there, but I asked the same, I was in shock when I heard that. Shock.
It is, and let me just tell you something. We all know how hard it is to mobilize people and get them interested in
Not
things.
you, I have no doubt in you. I know you will mobilize an army. I know you will mobilize.
And let me tell you something, on Verde Woods, we filled our clubhouse because they want to know what the township is doing to protect us. There are laws on the record, on the books, that say a town cannot approve a developer's plan if it has adverse effects on neighboring residents. There clearly was stated adverse effects. Our insurance is $70,000 a year because of liability, okay? That community has the zoning it does because of a lack of proper housekeeping. When that was rezoned, it was when there was a master plan for Bow Ridge. That piece of property was supposed to be included in Bow Ridge, so we've got the rezoning, okay? The person backed out at the last minute, and if this is the Bow Ridge community, this is Laurel Avenue, that piece of property is right in between our community, surrounded by cliffs, surrounded by our main road, okay? It is our insurance agent itself has said it will cause us additional
Nancy, I
liability.
think, not to cut you off, but, correct me if I'm wrong, I think all of us on this township committee are opposed to this project. Every one of us. We have no control over the zoning board. I was just as shocked, and I was away when I got the notice. I wasn't even here. I was just as shocked as Michael was that that zoning board even approved it, which I'm still stunned by. We don't
So
have.
does that mean they go off and do whatever they
We
please?
don't have.
They're appointed.
They are. We don't have jurisdiction over their decisions. Michael, am I correct?
Yes, the zoning board of
That's
adjustment is a
I
statutory
understand
board.
all the legal situation of what goes on here. They're appointed. But they are supposed to be appropriate appointees that represent the will of the residents here. They are passing atrocities. I came from Staten Island and Brooklyn where I pay $900 a month a year for my taxes. I pay $13,000 now because I wanted to live in a place that didn't allow atrocities like this. This atrocity, I have to tell you, would not even get approved in Staten Island and Brooklyn.
Well, certainly this group didn't approve it, and
Okay.
I'll go on record again saying I'm adamantly
And let me
opposed to
tell you
this
what your
project.
appointees are like. Go to the transcripts. One who approved it actually stood there and said, this is an atrocity. It's a bad thing for Holmdel, but I'm approving it because it's been going on for a while and they made a few changes. Changes don't make a difference. It's whether they address the issues. The zoning board said, is everything addressed? They were discussed, not addressed. The township engineer sat here and actually contradicted the township reports from the township engineer and didn't defend us. Why is one man, and who knows who this man is, that he would get such concessions from our zoning board? Who is this one man against 500 voting constituents? We know from the last election, 500 votes in this town make a difference. And I have not put out an email to my community, because I am here representing them, because if they hear what happened, you guys are not going to be in the best of light to this.
Listen, has it been approved? The zoning board?
Yes.
Yes.
It hasn't been,
But
The planning
but there
board
was-
should not
there
have
were a dozen stipulations.
the stipulations, but with no date.
But no,
Let me just give you one of the...
Okay, I can't talk, but I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll get to the bottom.
Yeah, but you know, I'm going to just tell you
And I,
something.
no, because when this came before the Environmental Commission, this came before, us before, and we, I don't care, you know, you can hear me. We sent letters to the zoning board recommending that, well, we can't, the Environmental Commission can't say no, you can't say no, but we can put very strict environmental restrictions on that property, and we can make strong recommendations, which they did. Now, why they didn't listen to the Environmental Commission, I don't know. And I honestly, I thought this was going to be done in December. I didn't think I had no idea this was on the agenda until after on the day after the election. I did not know. But my understanding is that there were people that voted no, but they put some pretty strict stipulations, and there are at least a dozen, from my understanding. But I want to see it. I haven't seen the stipulations.
Okay, do you want to know something? Those stipulations are in there because we sat in this audience all the time and made sure that those things were in there. But here's my real problem with that, okay? There's no date, all right? I'll give you one example just to let you know where I wonder what's really going on there. The bus issue.
Yes.
In Bow Ridge, we're not allowed the buses to come and pick the kids up, okay? All right, well, the Holmdel Transportation, I've had to be on the phone with them because we're repaving our community.
The Board of Education Transportation?
Yes, have said we don't go into communities like Bow Ridge. How are they going to go into a community that has 7-foot walls, a 25-foot wide driveway, where it will be the only access for vehicles, buses, and people to walk? Because I will tell you something, we will wrap them up in a cage. We'll put a cage around them because of our liability. Not to be spiteful, but because, and I would expect all of you guys to have a lot of influence to say yes for whatever zoning or variances, because if you give them out, to give them to us, to put whatever fences we need up, because we're in the surplus market for our insurance. We can't go anyplace else, $70,000. If you have now people caged in, what do you think they're going to do to walk out of their community when the only path out is a 25-foot wide road with 7-foot-high tall buildings on the side of it. But here's my point. I have been on the phone with the Holmdel transportation people on this issue for a year. I brought it up here, but of course, because I'm not a professional and I'm only a township person, it wasn't recorded as officially addressed. Why didn't the developer call them and find out if he had an issue? And he still hasn't. I turned to the engineer and I said, if you know this is an issue preventing you from getting a variance, why haven't you called to get it resolved? Because you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna take you down the road for years and years, all right, for more months, and then tell you, how could the town do this to us? You let us go this far, and now get it lifted. If you lift it for them, you lift it for Boxwood, you lift it for Bow Ridge, because that's discriminatory against your own residents, okay?
I don't think that's gonna happen, so
then just kill the project now.
So I already did. Pat and I were on the planning board years ago when this project came in front of us, and we voted no to stop the project. So we're on record. You could pull the tapes, all the zoning board tape or the planning board tapes. You know, this guy came back with another plan. I was hopeful that they were going to follow the same precedent that the planning board took when they looked at the project and said it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So no, I don't think anybody up here is arguing with you. It doesn't work, but there's...
Don't grant them a variance then.
They did already.
They granted it with
The
conditions, but no
township-
stipulations for resolution.
The zoning board, as the attorney said, we cannot dictate to them. We're hopeful that they follow our lead and guidance, but unfortunately, we're not them.
Yeah, but they are appointed to represent the town. They need to be read the Riot Act about the fact of who they represent and why they're sitting on that board. This is getting to be absurd. Does the township committee want their legacy to be the destruction of Holmdel? People will not pay $13,000 a year forever for a home that is going to be next to what they could be living in Brooklyn or Staten Island and paying $900. You can't keep doing this. And if these people need to be reappointed or taken into the room and tell them who they work for, that needs to be done.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'd love to do that, but we can't.
Well,
But I do
we're
agree that maybe we need to look at, I don't know how the vote was, I just got back this afternoon. But I think we need to take a look at who's up for reappointment, and, you know.
All I'm going to tell you, if you think we're going away,
No, listen, I don't want you to go away. Nancy, we don't want you to go away. We're in agreement with you.
No. We're going to be watching. And when I say we, I have been reelected as the president of my association. You know why? Because I command a lot of respect, okay? And I'm not bragging about myself. I'm just saying the people feel I have in my heart the right things for their community and the right things for this town. So they follow me, okay? And I will tell you, we will fill a room. And I don't want the township committee to be viewed as contra to the well-being of Bow Ridge. I want you guys on our side, and we want to be on your side. You need to do something for us. And some of those people on the zoning board should be gone. When you vote yes, and look at the transcript, it was a joke.
I am going to look at it.
You need qualified people. You're destroying our town if they don't have the qualifications. You are going to destroy our town. We represent $3.25 million of tax revenues. One committee. And I'll also tell you something, that Cedar Village, thanks to Rage, all of our association presidents are starting to come together to be a force to be reckoned with in the town. So now add to 250 another 125. I talk to people on those boards as well. And we have agreed to stand behind each other, no matter what the issues are, to make sure Holmdel stays the town we moved here for. And I know all of you must love this town to be serving as volunteers. I'm a volunteer on my board as well. You have to love where you are to give the time. And I want to thank you all for your time, because as a board member, I know what it takes. We all got private lives. But I ask you to please make sure that you are watching out for us. We're going to watch this whole project all the way through.
Nancy, I can assure you, I'm not going to be here much longer, but I will do what I can.
Well, now we figure you could be even more influential.
I will do what I can. If I can, I will. I promise. If I can, I will, I promise. And I think that's silly. But you know, you have 5 guys up here, and me on the outside 6, that are going to be looking out for you guys. And we have been, and we did, as Greg told me years ago, on the planning board, we knocked this thing down.
Okay.
What happened last, what was it, last week? Did they go?
Just Wednesday. I haven't had to, you know what?
So,
As I said,
We're
I
with
haven't
you.
been able to even send an email out because it's going to create an uproar in my community. It will when they find out what happened.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Jay Danilo, 18 Ladwood Drive. I didn't actually know this was going to take place, but I actually was coming forward to talk about the zoning board. I came from Edison, New Jersey, and my realtor told me when I moved here, she used a derogatory term, but basically she said, you're going to be safe here, nothing's going to be built. My question with the zoning board tied to that is, I think you appointed some people on there. I think someone else who's not here tonight appointed a lot of people on here. How many people on there were appointed by any of you guys? Do you know off the
I
top
don't
of
know
your
who's left on that board. I think I appointed one, that's
Okay.
down there, that's it.
I think whoever appointed these people on this board should have to speak for how they're voting. My point is, I've been to a lot of zoning board meetings in the past 18, 24 months, as other people here, and it truly is like the town people paying the taxes, the Holmdelians, have to fight just to keep the town as it is. It's as if the builders and applicants are always given the benefit of the doubt. It's so messed up. It's really bad. It really needs to be looked at. And again, whoever appointed these people, get the names out, get whoever appointed them. They need to be held accountable for this. Now, my specific point I wanted to come up here about was the Exxon station. I know a few of you were at the meetings. There was some interest in there. Our concern was the Exxon was going to be sold and flipped. I've heard it has been sold and flipped. I don't know exactly who owns it now, but it's as if my Uncle Louie is doing the renovations on a Saturday afternoon after 4 glasses of wine. They have these giant floodlights now at night. What is going on with the Exxon? Who owns it? And is it going to truly be a nice Exxon convenience store like the bill of goods we were sold?
Putting artificial turf there.
They changed it? I don't have any idea who owns it. I don't know if any changed.
None of you know if it was sold, flipped.
No, we would know unless somebody, I don't think it has been known. I mean, I get gas there, and the same guy gives me gas. So,
Sunny.
Sunny.
Sunny just
Yeah,
So none of you know if it's been flipped to some other party. Okay, well, I guess at the zoning board meetings, often there's not public comment. So we will be going before the zoning board meeting, when we're allowed to make public comment, to see what is going on there and who is doing these renovations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
But if there's floodlights that are bothering people,
Come next.
that has to be addressed. At night,
Yeah.
that has to be addressed. Donna, could you make note of that, please, and make sure? Thank you.
Pete Reddy, 7 Rustic.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Pete Reddy. I didn't hear the address.
7 Rustic Lane.
7 Rustic.
3 comments. One, nice job on the parking lot. That's pretty good use of the spots. The other two comments I had, I'm not sure if you guys know, but obviously after the firehouse was closed, I would just get my insurance renewal, and I was sort of questioning why my insurance went up 7%. So the lady didn't know. She went back to the underwriter. The underwriter informed her that I guess where we live on the north side of town, that now we're code 6, when before this we were code 5. And obviously I knew why, but I was just listening to her to find out what she was saying, and she was going through saying, oh, it's either a training situation, apparatus might be old in your town, or something that was affecting the insurance to go up. And obviously I
Do
knew.
you have those papers?
I don't.
I live on the same side of town you do.
Yeah, it just happened when I was 7%, so I was very, I was curious. I didn't know if you guys knew, number one.
Let me see the papers.
Because if it's affecting me, obviously it's gonna affect anyone else who has
No,
Travelers,
you know,
Allstate, Geico, whatever. I just wanted to bring it up just so you guys were aware, because it was something either we're going from code 6 to code 5 or code 5 to code 6, and I have no clue about insurance.
I'd be very, I really.
Yeah, I'll get you that, because I was actually, I was like, why did my insurance go up? There was no claims.
No, they didn't either. Yeah.
So yeah, something to look into, because obviously now we have a financial impact, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I'm
I wanna see
concerned,
it.
you know. And the second thing is, do you guys have a plan? Obviously, there are all sorts of deer accidents around town. I know right now you know,
You're preaching to the
bigger
choir,
things.
my friend.
Can we do
Because I
something
have-
about that?
I'll tell you what, I have, you know, you're talking about fire and people, I'll tell you what, I don't know how many people have died in fires in the last 50 years in this
Don't
town.
know a deer, you know?
But I can count on two hands how many people have been killed by deer in this town.
Peter, let me give you a little history.
Yeah.
And it is,
Can
it
we
is bad.
slim down the population?
Well, exactly. Back in 2011, the township committee passed an ordinance to allow deer hunting. Okay, we want to call the herd.
I remember.
Okay, and what happened, there was the the animal rights,
Save the deer.
say they did. And we were allowed, it was a certain period of time, I think it was just maybe the month of February, because we got into it late, to do hunting at Bayonet Farm.
Yeah.
People who were Save the Deer or the animal rights activists, and I'm an animal rights activist, I was supported by my election, but we allowed hunting to begin at 5 in the morning, and after that time, then they were taking their dogs and walking through Bayonet Farm, and it really deterred the hunters from shooting at any of the deer. It was bow and arrow, it wasn't rifle, and we had to give all the hunters their money back because nobody wanted, and it was really a big thing. And, so, we looked at ways to cull the herd. We wanted to shoot them with stuff that makes them sterile and all that, but it was, and I just put my hands up and said, and I don't know what we can do now, to be honest.
Can we revisit it? 'Cause
Yeah,
obviously the last
listen.
one to do was go to a funeral
Yeah.
for,
I can tell you I've seen it numerous times, and short of introducing mountain lions to Holmdel, there's not much you can do but hunt them.
Yeah, the county has hunting, and they hunt right next
And
door.
there's some really good hunting in Holmdel Park. I mean,
Listen, we can absolutely revisit it, and it's something maybe we need to discuss in closed session, look at it. But there's always a possibility, sure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Schlifka, 119 Woodley Court, that's part of Bow Ridge. Instead of repeating everything Nancy said, I just wanted to share with you a visual, which is the exhibit for Verde Woods that we were given during one of the zoning board meetings. May I approach and give it to you, so you'll see it.
Yes, give the clerk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you'll see the schematic shows that where there used to be one house and over 350 trees, there's going to be now 8 houses and about 100 trees. That just sums it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's time has come to pass when I think maybe as a township committee we start looking at our zoning ordinance as far as building. Right now, certain areas call for 1.5 acres, and some are 1 acre, and some are a little larger. I think maybe we need to look at that to try to curtail the building that's going on in town overall, and maybe make it 4-acre lots or something of that nature. I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest with you. Years ago, when I lived in Colts Neck, Township Committee did that. I went back in the early '80s. I think I've been thinking about this for a while. But that's something you might want to look at in the future. Something you might want to consider, Greg.
Absolutely. I'll run with that. We will look to craft something for in the coming weeks.
No, legally, Michael, you guys, we have to learn, but I think that's something we need to look at.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Miss? She's been trying for a while.
Let's see.
I can wait. Christine Height, H-E-Y-T, 5 Boxwood Terrace, Holmdel. I sent a letter to all of you Saturday night. I heard back from Mike and Eric about Verde Woods. That's why I'm here. So I already wrote the letter to you, so you already got some of my feelings about how truly disgusted I am that was allowed to be passed by a vote of 5-2. I'm not going to, Nancy did a great job. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, so you know exactly how we feel about this. The biggest issue is the buses, that this was allowed to be passed with no concrete plan for busing. And I also have emails between Terry Peterson and myself.
Who is Terry Peterson?
She's the head of transportation at Holmdel.
Board of Education?
Board of Ed. She runs the buses. she told me, and I have the emails, they were read into record, that you won't stop on Laurel Avenue, you do not come into private drives. The second part of that is when the developers first put up their schematics of how they were gonna draw it, I think you have it there. It's got that hammerhead-shaped driveway. They now propose, the board said, they put up a cul-de-sac now. The cul-de-sac hasn't even been really shown. Are they on any easements from the Environmental Commission? They redrew it, moved a home from 4 to 4 to, I'm sorry, it was 5 to 3, now it's 4 to 4. They moved a home. I could show, I mean, I don't have the pictures because the developer just had that schematic and didn't provide us any copies. So they just put that up, the Dimitri and they all said, well, we're gonna vote yes or no. And they said, we'll vote yes. Now, once they voted yes, then they decided, right, now that we voted yes, now we'll vote between the hammerhead or the cul-de-sac. So they said, we like the cul-de-sac. Meanwhile, not having shown any schematics of would that impede on any easement, because I'm looking at the cul-de-sac, having the pictures in my folder, that this clearly goes close to the easements, but also they have passive recreation for this tiny little piece of land. They took away now their passive recreation. The other thing that they don't talk about is when they first did that, again, the one that they presented, they're using pavers to do that coverage. If they now expand the road and put the cul-de-sac in, they said that they were going to put in bigger backyards for them. Now they're going to surpass their lot coverage, so now they're going to make their little backyards even smaller. They're like 6 by 6. So there's no passive recreation. It literally is like a jail. I mean, it really does sound like a community that I can't imagine being put in the midst of Holmdel. So, again, so the bottom line is, what can we now do? We know that you're all against it, and it's passed. Is there anything that we could do now to see that this doesn't, they have so many right stipulations, so many contingencies, the buses, that. The big thing is the buses. I mean, if they don't get, they were very clear, if they don't get the bus clearance, it dies.
That was one of the conditions, is my understanding, in the
Right.
approval. Yep.
So can we make sure that they don't get the bus approval? We are Holmdel.
You got a board member saying, great.
Come on.
I would go to the next Board of Ed meeting and
Yeah,
just
you
go
know,
on
I
record with
think
that.
that's, you know,
You need to come to
you're
that.
talking about getting your group of people together.
It really
I think
should.
that's the next move you should make. I'm going to, hopefully I'll be able to attend the next zoning board meeting and just give them my feelings on it, how disappointed I am with it. But I think what you might need to do is, as a group, go to the Board of Ed meeting and say, listen, you know, in your eyes, the zoning board screwed up, and now please help us, type thing, you know? What?
The planning board as well. This should have
The
been.
zoning board, not the planning board.
Planning board denied it.
Planning board denied it. We did it. We denied it.
So the zoning board overrides the planning board?
They're
No,
two boards. They're not
different.
they're
What the
different.
developer kept doing, because I went to every single meeting, for over 2 years I went to every meeting, they kept threatening us with the 13, because they're allowed by right to put 2 or 13. So they kept trying to intimidate us by saying, by right we could build 13, by right we could build 13. Can you imagine 13 homes?